It's funny because it played the advertisement, so I thought it was going to start up.
Alright, my computer is just running really slow for a sec, so.
Alright, good. Alright, we're live. I'm seeing people in the chat. So, you ready to get started?
Yeah, I'm about ready. We're good?
Yep, we're good. Hey, everybody.
Cool. What's going on, everybody? My name is Oz, and I'll be commentating on the finale of the Solar Wars Cup. Alongside me is Kalazor, who took over the tournament shortly after Curtis resigned. Kalazor, would you mind letting everybody know exactly what's going on with the tournament and the current state of affairs?
Alright, so first thing I want to say real quick, if you guys saw the replay screen, I scrubbed it. There's no spoilers. I made sure that this is going to be a best of 5, so I put 5 match folders in there. There may or may not actually be 5 matches in this series. Everybody will have to find out together as we go along, so I just don't want anybody to feel like they got spoiled. As far as the tournament, the way it worked out, there were supposed to be 3 final matches, but there were too many scheduling conflicts to get everybody together for 3 separate matches. So, because the scores worked out to where it was only the UK and the US that could possibly win, I just combined the last set of matches into one best of 5 with the best players I could get a hold of from each team to play each other to determine the final winner for the tournament. So this is the finals. This is the final match that we're watching here. The first game of a best of 5 series. So Oz, you can take it from there.
Alright, cool. Whenever you want to count us down, we can start. We're at the 15-second mark in the game. We did want to talk quickly about team comps on Ribbit. The US is running Equil as Froggy, Kirby Derby as Ted, and Bad Joe as Scree. As far as the team comp goes for the US, Ted is going to be one of the main heavy hitters on this match. The airstrike down low, using the jump head through the jungle up top. That's going to be a huge factor for the US, and we're going to see how it's going to play off. As far as the UK team goes, Savang is going to be playing as Froggy, Archeo as Coco, and Zydecore as Penny. Penny's also going to be a huge factor on this map. Her mobility around the map, alongside with Coco and Froggy, all really have really good mobility around Ribbit. So without further ado, a few things to expect. Mid battles are going to be heavy between the UK and the US team on this map. Ribbit is all about holding that mid and for the first 2 turrets and area of denial. And without further ado, if you would like to count us down, we can begin the first match of the finals between the US and UK.
I just take a second to move the flags around so they're not blocking much important.
No problem.
Alright, are you on 15 seconds or 10?
Yep, I'm on 15.
Alright, so we're ready to go on go. It's 3, 2, 1, go.
Right off the bat, Scree is going to pick up the totem. Ted is only going to pick up airstrike. Equil picking up NATO and dash on Froggy. Penny picking up piggy bank. Coco getting basic upgrades. Nice little airstrike in mid, clearing up mid, and it's going to look like the US team is going to hold mid down first. Archeo poking around, hits Equil with the little Coco ball. And just waiting for both teams' droids to come out. Kirby Derby hanging out in mid. Gonna send an airstrike down, looks like it. Yes, he is. Gonna hit Archeo with the airstrike. Having Savang and Penny in mid both back off from mid. Equals chasing Penny out from mid. Nice little totem down from Bad Joe. Gets some area of denial. And a nice airstrike from Ted coming through mid. Hitting Archeo and Savang. Forcing the UK team to push back and grab their health early. US team getting some nice area of denial to begin with. Archeo up top and mid, fighting with Scree, but does manage to poke about a little bit. On bottom, Penny and Froggy both heading up. Nice little damage on top turret. The airstrike for even more area of denial for Kirby Derby. Seems like US is going to control mid for a good portion of the game. Another nice airstrike from Kirby, hitting Savang up top. Arceo's going to try and come up mid, but the totem block forces him back down. Nice little battle going on in mid. Ted again with the airstrikes. Bad Joe trying to follow up. Does manage to get his buzzsaw out. Froggy going through on blue. Arceo again coming up mid with the blaze. Penny nice with the pulse. Arceo gets hit with the airstrike and forces Arceo to teleport out. Savong and Penny staying in Zydecore. Looks like Red is going to have a small push on bottom until Savong and Zydecore can get down there. Arceo's back in the mid, gets a nice little Cocoa Ball off, forces Red out of mid a little bit, but it seems like the US team is going to continue to hold Red down.
So US so far has been doing a pretty good job of holding mid and keeping the pressure up. Do you see a way for UK to reverse that from here?
The only way that I see a way for the UK to really take a hold of mid is for that Coco to start the engage in mid, land a nice ball, and have Savong and Savong and Zydecore, excuse me, come right through mid with a nice burst going up top. But as you can see now, the US team has a nice little push up top and does manage to poke the turret a little bit. Ted is just such a good nod for Ribbit. His mobility on this map, along with the airstrikes, it's just such a good composition that they have going on, with Bad Joe constantly getting Totem and Ted poking out top.
With Ted and Froggy, the red team zoning is really good, so it's hard to approach the mid, especially with the hidden areas.
Oh, extremely.
And Scree is helping them just accelerate that push from the red team.
Completely. Ted's turret damage is just absolutely ridiculous. Even early game. Nice little engage going on in mid. Both teams overextending a little bit, but the US team does manage to get out. It looks like the UK team does have a little hold on mid right now, but that airstrike again through mid, hitting both Zydecore and Savong, is going to force them out. Arceo is teleporting back yet again, and the US team retakes mid jungle. Top blue turret is about half health, and bottom is about a quarter, so US is actually pushing very well and holding down mid very well. Bad Joe pushing out, gets the nice totem block, restricting any movement coming down from that bottom jungle. Ted again in with the airstrike. UK team really has to try and retake mid at this point, but at the rate the current things are going, it doesn't look like that the UK team is going to be able to take that back anytime soon. Arceo, Savong hanging out in mid a little bit. Coco getting a little blaze in there, picking up Equil with the damage over time. A pulse by Penny, but is forced back due to Ted's shotgun and airstrikes. Arceo, a nice little engage on bottom. We have again, Equil is trying to get out from the Scree Totem, and it looks like he will be able to get out. And Kirby Derby has some nice turret damage up top again.
Yeah, when you let Ted get to your turret, he's got one of the best turret DPS stats in the game.
Especially once you get into late game and he has a stim pack, that is just going to be a lot of damage on your turret. And Arceo hanging out in bottom jungle and lands a nice ball on Froggy, forces Equil to get out a little bit. Kirby and Equil hanging out in bottom, though. Kirby decides to stay on bottom, landing the nice airstrike shotgun combo on Penny, forcing Zydecore back into their health zone. And here we're going to see a big turret push by the US team, trying to take some good damage on the turret, but Arceo manages to land a nice ball and force him back. It seems that the blue team does have a little push in mid right now, but Kirby Derby again with the airstrike, just eliminating any hold that the UK team is going to have on mid.
Kirby's really doing a lot of good things for the red team right now with that Ted pick. He's got the insane turret damage to follow up whenever he gets a chance to split, and just tons of good zoning out of airstrike.
Of course, and then you have Bad Joe just getting the nice totem blocks in there, allowing the top turret to be taken down. Equil is going to take some damage and be forced to teleport out, but it seems like Arceo and Savong are going to try to engage in bottom, but unfortunately do not pick up any kills. Blue team does have a nice grasp on mid right now, but let's see what they can do with it. Nice little top push they have going on. You're going to get a little bit of top damage going on, but Equil comes in with a nice dash, followed up by Bad Joe dropping the totem in the mid jungle and hanging out in their creep zone now. And it seems like the UK team is going to take their solar boss as quick as possible. Bad Joe kind of spots it. Let's see if he can pick anyone up. Unfortunately not. Drops the totem to prevent movement into their mid-jungle area. Archeo battling it out in mid with Scree and Froggy from the US team. And Kirby Derby just holding down bottom mid. You know, the thing about Ted on Ribbit is that he can restrict so much movement in mid. He could retake mid by himself with one airstrike if he nails it just right.
And we do see the top turret on UK team going down first, which is top turret is it's a lot closer and it has low health, so that's what you would expect to see go down first on this map.
Especially with a team like this, Bad Joe continuing to drop the totem. Nice little engagement going on in bottom mid. Kirby Derby taking some damage, but dishing out more than he's taking. Archeo is hanging out in their jungle right now, does get hit by an airstrike, and Bad Joe unfortunately does miss the bottom totem, but it does look like they will take the bottom turret as well. Archeo cleaning up the bottom push. Savang and Zydecore up top. Zydecore has to pick up some charges right now on those droids. Equil, Kirby, and Bad Joe both on bottom, cleaning up that droid push as well. Nice little steal from Kirby Derby on the UK's creeps.
So looking at the mini-map, we got 2 perfect health turrets on the front for red team and 2 completely down turrets on the blue team. This looks like a really decisive lead for the US.
It looks like a decisive lead, but you can never underestimate Penny's damage on turrets. If Penny gets her mid-game going, oh, nice little pickup by the Pulse, chasing Bad Joe down. Zydecore does manage to get into the creep zone, and it seems that the UK team has retaken mid-control. See if they can make anything of it. Archeo trying to cut off Equil, and he does get the cutoff on him, but Equil uses his dash and invulnerability frames to escape that terrible situation. As far as you were saying turret damage goes before, Penny, once she gets her AA really going, she can take down a turret extremely fast, along with Froggy. If he does get Arbe on his NATO, it could be a decent amount of damage on turret. Kirby Derby trying to clear mid again, unfortunately misses, but the US team will retake mid. Bad Joe stealing Blue's creeps. And another airstrike up top from Kirby Derby to clear mid. Archeo is going to take a decent amount of damage while Savang is clearing the bottom lane of droids.
So we're seeing a little bit more passive play from the US team right now. Those back 2 turrets are pretty difficult to get to. And their huge advantage from Ted's airstrike is not as good once you get past that bumper in the middle.
I can agree with you on some points, but Ted's airstrike is just so versatile, especially if he's playing bottom lane most of the game. He can kind of gauge the minimap and see where the UK team members are, especially if Bad Joe lands a nice totem like he did for the escape just there. If Ted was on bottom, they could have hit a nice airstrike or 2. And it does look like Kirby Derby hits an airstrike on Zydecore, preventing him from teleporting back. Savang clearing top lane, leaving Archeo by himself. Ted is going to hit another airstrike on Archeo. Bad Joe with a nice saw, taking half health from Penny and doing a bit of damage on Archeo. Ted again, it looks like they're going to try and corner the Penny, but Zydecore does get out with the dash. Equil on the US team, clearing the bottom lane. Archeo trying to get a nice ball into mid, but unfortunately misses. Another missed airstrike by Kirby, but it really didn't look like it made much of an impact because he's been hitting them all game, making sure that the US team controls mid. Seems that the UK team has been pushed back into their creep zone by Bad Joe's totem and saw, restricting their movement up top. Kirby Derby trying to hit the airstrike, and he picks up a double kill on the UK team, taking out Savang and Archeo with one airstrike. This is going to allow a huge push on bottom for red.
That's a very crucial kill. 10 minutes into the game, and it's the first kill for the US team.
It was absolutely an excellent airstrike from Kirby Derby. Nice picking up their kill. Equil and Bad Joe both trying to take out the solar boss. Equil's taking a good portion of damage right now, but picks up the full health from the kill on the solar boss. Kirby takes down about a sixth of the bottom turret on blue, but it seems like blue's top turret is going to stay up a little bit longer. Archeo and Savang taking on Kirby. Will they pick up the kill? They do manage to pick up the kill. Will they escape, though? That's the question. And it does look like Bad Joe is going to pick up Savang on the way out of bottom UK zone.
Good reaction from the US there to come in and at least get a trade for the teammate.
Absolutely. It seemed like that for a moment that the UK team was going to escape with the kill on Kirby Derby, but the US team was right on top. Bad Joe's totem has been really imperative in this game as far as restricting movement goes. He's been playing a different style of Scree that I've never really seen before. He's been playing an area of denial Scree, where Scree can be used for multiple situations, but he's been playing an excellent area of denial Scree for this whole entire game. And we have Zydecore cleaning up the bottom droid push from the US team. And it seems like Bad Joe and Equal hanging out up top, battling it out with Savang. No damage dealt, really. Zydecore trying to take it out, and it looks like the US team is going to try and corner Zydecore, but they do escape. And as we see now, it looks like Kirby Derby has picked up some stim pack. Savang landing the nice little dash on Bad Joe, forcing him to back up a little bit, but Kirby Derby coming out behind, hanging out in their creep zone, manages to get an airstrike off. Not sure if he hit Zydecore or not with that.
So with Ted, once you max out your auto attack, you get a lot more freedom for what you want to buy at that point.
Absolutely. Depending on the play style of the other team and their composition, Kirby Derby went for the range on the AA as well as stim pack and airstrike damage. He's been hitting airstrike a lot this game. He knows it. He can abuse the airstrike as much as he wants. Savang restricted movement on bottom from the turret, but Coco lands a nice ball on Kirby Derby, forcing him out from their creep zone. Savang clearing the bottom lane. Kirby Derby and Equal attacking the top lane. Petty landing a nice little pulse, trying to get a little damage in there. Does manage to hit Equal, but they're going to back off. As we come back to testing the waters, we have Kirby Derby trying to hit another airstrike in mid. Unfortunately misses. And Archeo with a nice ball from bottom mid hits Bad Joe. Zydecore is going to be forced to get out. And Savang is alone, but Archeo comes to the rescue with the blaze up mid. The US team is all over mid right now. Savang manages to get out of the airstrike from Ted on that one. Archeo and Savang battling it out with Bad Joe up top. Bad Joe with the nice totem and the saw coming out from mid. And it seems like the US team has just been dominating this first portion of the match here with mid control. But there have been some really great plays from the UK team. Savang's going to teleport back. Archeo coming up mid with the blaze, hits a nice ball, and she is going to be stuck in mid, but manages to get out. Zydecore now hanging out in the creep zone. Archeo's taking a lot of damage in mid. She's going to have to back out. Archeo staying in, managing to just poke a little bit, and Kirby Derby managing to get the airstrike behind. The saw up mid does manage to hit Archeo again. Archeo's trying to hit the nice blaze and get a nice little escape. They do manage to pick it up as they bait Zydecore down to bottom mid, and Zydecore gets out. Kirby Derby with a nice airstrike, clearing up mid and taking out Coco at the same time. Savang, Zydecore, Bad Joe, and Kirby Derby in a 2v2 for the time being. Kirby Derby chasing down Zydecore, manages to just miss the airstrike, but barely.
So at 15 minutes, it's a mess of initiations back and forth at this point. A lot of individual pokes from the blue team trying to come in on all sides and try to force a mistake out of the US.
It's going to be very difficult to do, you know, when you're playing teams with minor lag, even if it's a millisecond delay, that delay is going to cause a lot of damage. As we can see here, Archeo kind of baiting in Bad Joe. Bad Joe manages to drop the totem and get out, but Savang and Zydecore are going to battle it out in mid, but Equal gets the nice dash and a nice burst from the US team to pick up the kill on Savang. Looks like Kirby Derby's going to try and poke bottom turret a little bit right now, clear that bottom wave, and manages to land an airstrike on Archeo from bottom mid again. Equal being chased out, but Bad Joe dropping the totem again, allowing the easy escape from Equal, but Archeo says no, he's not going to let him go that easy, and hits the nice Coco ball. Ted doing that airstrike area of denial, manages to poke a little bit. Equal is in a big amount of trouble right now. He's taking a lot of damage from Zydecore and Archeo, but he manages to get the kill. Will Archeo be able to get out? Zydecore, ooh, that was a big error on the US team. Archeo and Zydecore both going different ways, and Bad Joe and Kirby Derby did not attack one of them. They wanted to pick up both kills, but instead let both of them escape. And a nice totem from Bad Joe here, allowing Kirby Derby to chase down Savong and pick up the kill on Savong. Bad Joe also hitting the nice double saw and an airstrike hitting Archeo. That is a lot of damage and a lot of burst from the US team.
That's a very impressive clutch totem from Bad Joe.
Absolutely. He saw that Savong was out of position, and he has that totem, can pop it right in front of the turret, prevent him from escaping, and forces him down into Kirby Derby's AA. Another nice saw, just damaging Archeo. A shotgun shell hitting him. Bad Joe manages to get up behind him, land this back saw, but unfortunately gets picked off by the turret. Kirby Derby and Equal chasing down Zydecore. A nice engagement going on in Blue's drill zone right now. And Equal does manage to pick up Zydecore. Now it's up to Savong to try and get out, but he manages to escape. Kirby Derby's going to teleport out and leave Equal at top to pick up any of the droid pushes. Savong getting back in there as quick as possible. He knows he has to end that droid push as soon as possible because that bottom turret is going to be pushed by Equil right now. And as he gets up there, Equil is kind of just hanging out in the creep zone, waiting for the rest of the US team to keep up with him. Savong trying to poke at the solar boss a little bit right now. Takes a good portion of damage, and Archeo is going to come in right now and hang out and kind of protect Savong. But Archeo is going to take a lot of damage, and unfortunately Savong gets picked off by the solar boss. That was a huge error right there. Archeo should have tried and get in there with the solar boss and tried to maybe hit a ball or two. That's going to allow the US team to pick up the solar boss and get some good damage on Archeo. Archeo picking up the bottom health and getting in front of that turret, trying to prevent the push. Equal getting a nice dash in, but Archeo is not going down without hitting a Coco Ball on Bad Joe.
So what do you think of the decision a few minutes ago for the UK to go for that solar boss?
I don't think it was the smartest decision for what it was worth. You have both teams basically in a 1v1 situation, but I don't think Froggy has the capacity to take down the solar boss on his own, especially without the shield. You know, that's a huge error, but you know what? It worked out in the US's favor because the US not only picked him up, they also went in for the solar boss kill and picked it up as well. A nice totem by Bad Joe, but Bad Joe is going to be chased down by Zydecore, getting a good amount of damage on him, forcing him back into their creep zone. Bad Joe will just pick up that easy creep health, though. Little nice engagement going on bottom. Ted does manage to hit the airstrike. Savong is going to be forced back. Archeo is going to be forced back, and we have Zydecore stuck in their creep zone right now. Bad Joe is just completely landing every single totem in all the choke points of this match. And it's been such a pleasure to see this style of Scree played because I've honestly never seen it before. And I've played for a while, but Area of Denial Scree played like this is awesome to see.
I think the reason it's so rare is because it requires a lot of game sense and prediction of the enemy team. You have to be able to know way ahead of time where they're going to want to go and cut off the most useful routes.
Yeah, it's not even that he's using his totem to its... He is using his totem to the full potential, I should say, but his saw is being used to basically hold off a choke point as well, and he keeps it there as long as possible. Even though it may not pick up a kill, it's going to allow the red team and the US team to move around a bit more freely and restrict a lot more movement than just using his totem in one area.
And having a Ted and Froggy on your team with their huge amount of damage allows them to use the saw blade like that instead of for the burst that you can do.
Exactly. Zydecore and Savong pushing from bottom. Archeo pushing back into their creep zone. Ted landing the airstrike on Zydecore again. And the UK team decides to poke at their solar boss, but decides against it.
So I'm noticing that Archeo is just now getting Superconductor. It seems a little bit late.
Equal picking up a nice kill on Savang. It may seem a little bit late, but she or he may have been testing out the waters in the beginning just to make sure that maybe it was a good decision, or maybe it was a better decision to get it late game as opposed to early game for a different style of play. And it looks like Bad Joe's going to drop the totem, and they are going to take the bottom turret. Archeo gets picked up by the Saw after the turret drops. It was an excellent push by the U.S. team taking that bottom turret right there. Bad Joe has honestly been the MVP of the U.S. team, dropping those totems in the most important points of this match. As we can see here, a small droid push on the drill that's going to take out about 2 bars. And the U.S. team is just going to clear the droid waves pushes right now. Zydecore coming in with a nice pulse, lands it. Has the range attack after, but Kirby Derby in right now with Savang and Zydecore. Zydecore is taking a lot of damage, but manages to pick up the kill. Savang backs off, and Archeo is now in a 2v1 situation in mid, but allows both of his teammates to escape. Great plays by both teams. Bad Joe trying to chase down Archeo, but Archeo with that blaze prevents Bad Joe from chasing him down any further. Savang clearing out that bottom droid push. Has to take out that super droid before it gets some good damage on their base. And now both teams are going to try and clear some droid waves just to make it an even match as far as droids go.
With this kind of turret deficit, do you see any avenue for a comeback on the UK side?
There's always an avenue for a comeback. You know, if they get a nice wipe or a 2-man down situation on the U.S. team, like I said, Penny's damage on the turrets is absolutely ridiculous. Same thing with Coco. Froggy really doesn't have that much turret DPS, so they're basically going to rely on Coco and Penny to be doing most damage. But it's going to be extremely difficult for them to get into that situation in a 2v1 or a 2-man down situation for the U.S. team.
So UK is looking for essentially a team wipe at this point to get back. Either
Absolutely.
Or just a very patient play in the long game.
Exactly. Savang trying to engage a little bit on bottom, runs into all 3 of them. Archeo landing the ball. Penny's in now. Archeo is chasing down Equal, but Equal manages to get away. Archeo trying to juke out and does pick up some health. Kirby Derby does pick up Zydecore on the bottom, though. And Archeo is going to get picked up by Equal's dash and Screeze AA. Now it looks like the red team and the U.S. team is going to go in for the base. Savang trying to desperately defend at this point. And it looks like this is going to be a GG. And you can just see the amount of damage that Kirby Derby and Equal can do on base. A Stimpack Ted is just absolutely taking out the base. That was a very good match. As we look into post-game analysis, do you see any upgrades that could have been changed a little bit? I know you pointed out that Coco's upgrades and the superconductor was gotten a little bit late. Do you think that it should have been gotten a little bit earlier, or what are your opinions on the Coco upgrades?
So I don't play tons of Coco myself, but see, one thing that does strike me as weird from Archeo is the piggy bank in the middle of the game. That's the piggy bank went into superconductor. I feel like Archeo wanted to get that AA damage really fast, and then went pills and then Chuck's board. I would have preferred just both superconductors in a row and going for damage. I think there's a big temptation when you're losing to go buy more pills so you don't die. But my philosophy has always been to go for more damage and try to play better and not get hit in the first place, because you're not going to make a comeback just with pills.
You also have to take into account the little bit of lag that we have. This is a P2P game, so seeing that little bit of lag, it doesn't really show much on our end, but to the players playing at the time, they notice it, and it's a huge thing. But I think for the most part, all players in that match were very smart with their upgrades. Even though the superconductor was gotten a little bit late, I think it was more or less going to be used for the droid wave pushes and kind of getting a small area of denial, because, you know, superconductor, it can go around walls, it can get some good damage in if people aren't paying attention.
And these builds, for the most part, look pretty standard from all the players.
Yeah, no, they were mostly standard for everybody. I wouldn't have expected any builds to be any different that match. I expected Kirby to go with airstrike damage first, actually, from the beginning, because of just the amount of sheer airstrikes that he was hitting in the beginning was absolutely ridiculous. That being said, I think we should talk about the Charity Cup coming up.
So, a lot of you guys watching may already know about Alexis's Charity Cup that he's got coming up. The registration deadline for that is on the 10th, and the deadline to donate, there is no deadline. It is a charity event. It's an Awesomenauts tournament, so we want to support charity. We want to support the competitive scene in Awesomenauts. So, all of you guys who intend to sign up, it'll be good practice for the big Awesomenauts Cup that's coming up as well, and we'd like to see a lot of donations going the way of the ACC.
It is for charity, so everything that you do donate is going to charity. It's not as if you're donating $100 and 99 of it's going to charity and one's going to Alex. No, every single dollar that you donate is going straight to charity. That being said, I think it's time we go into the second match of the series. I'm at 20 seconds on my side, so I'll give you a few seconds to get there on yours.
Okay, I'm at 20.
Alright, if you would like to start the countdown. Actually, you know what? Let's discuss the team comps for Augalon. So, it looks like the U.S. team is going to switch it up right now. We have Equal playing as a Leon, Kirby Derby rocking Raylan, and Badjo playing his main Vinny. How do you think the U.S. comp is going to match up against the U.K. team comp of Savang playing as Ayla, Zydecore, Coco, and Archeo as Skull?
So, I'm a huge fan of Raylan. She was my main for a long time, and I think Raylan has a lot of good angles on this stage if you're familiar with her, but there's also a lot of room to get cut off and run away. I'd like to see a little bit more tankiness from the other two players so that Raylan can stand back and get those hits in the team fight. It's kind of a full assassination team from the U.S. here, which is, I think, what they were going for. So we're going to have to see how well that works out for them, because if they get straight up attacked, they might be lacking a little bit of health and defensiveness.
I agree with you. Both teams a little bit squishy, except for the UK with the Archeo as Skoldir. One thing that we do have to watch out for is the Leon pull into the Raylan time lift. That is a huge strategy that can be utilized by the U.S. team. The only problem I see with the choice of Raylan on this map is the mobility factor. You have Ayla, who can chase people down, Coco, who can hit the balls from a mile away, and Archeo with a nice throw. Unless Kirby manages to get early CC immunity, it's going to be extremely difficult for him to start landing snipes like that. But things to look out on Augalon. Obviously, you have the invis in middle. It's going to be a major choke point for both teams trying to fight for mid control. Invisibility spawns every minute, so expect both teams to be fighting around the mid area and section. Top and bottom jungles both hold a 50 health orb, 500, excuse me, and both teams have a creep zone holding 3 creeps. As you can see, 2 jumpers in mid and a bottom escape route through the invisibility. Without further ado, if you'd like to count us down, let's begin.
So early throw from Archeo.
Oh, I couldn't hear you at all. You didn't say anything. Let's rewind.
Oh, you didn't get my countdown? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't. I'll go back to 20.
Here I was thinking I was talking to everybody. Alright, 3, 2, 1, Go.
Alright, we're going to see both teams get in, and Kirby Derby holding down the snipe in mid does manage to hit Archeo and allows Bad Joe to pick up the invis. Nice throw by Archeo. Nice engagement here. Up top, we're going to see Raylan try and drop the time rift, and Savang chase them down in rage mode, with Archeo following shortly after. Xylacor trying to grab the health, but realizes that Kirby just picked it up. Another nice throw by Archeo, and Kirby does manage to escape up Blue's jump pad. We're going to see Savang and Archeo taking down the first droid wave push, but Equal landing a nice little poke on Savang, but manages to eat an Evil Eye on his way out. The US team clearing bottom, but the UK team has a little push on top. Is going to take about 2 bars of that before the US team even gets up there. Savang clearing the bottom lane, allowing his droids to push in, forcing Equal to come down low and try and take out that droid wave push. Savang and the UK team hanging out up top. Archeo hitting a nice little punch on Kirby Derby, forcing him back. Equal does manage to pick up Invis, and that timer is going to be at 128. Look out for 228 on the timer for another fight in mid. Another nice throw by Archeo, and manages to pick up Bad Joe. Savang stuck in Raylan's time lift and forces the UK team back into center, but the US team is going to have to catch up on the droid wave on bottom. Xylacor and Archeo both taking down the droid push on bottom. Savang attacking the top droid push.
So one thing that's interesting about these compositions is that a lot of people regard Isla as one of the worst knots in the game, but UK obviously picked her. What do you think their rationale is?
As far as rationale goes, I don't really know the rationale. I don't regard Ayla as one of the worst knots in the game. Her early to mid game is absolutely fantastic, especially against slow characters who don't really have boots. So obviously they have a strategy in mind, and what I'm thinking is in between Coco's Blaze and maybe Archeo would pick up the slow on the throw. It's going to allow Savang to pick up some nice easy kills while they're slowed. Savang attacking Bad Joe in mid. Looks like a nice little engagement in the creep zone. Archeo forcing everybody back, and Zydecore picks up Bad Joe with a nice ball. Savang forcing Kirby Derby back, and Equal may be able, he does pick up Archeo in bottom mid and manages to escape. A 2-for-1, actually a 1-for-1 exchange there, excuse me. But a nice play by Equal in managing to pick up Archeo on bottom. Another nice droid push by the UK team up top. Equal is going to be chased down by Ayla. I think Savang could have waited a little bit longer for that and held Equal in rage a little bit longer before he shot the Evil Eye out. Savang clearing top, and Kirby Derby trying to catch up on the droid wave on bottom, just taking out some damage. Equal does manage to eat an Evil Eye, but Bad Joe is right next to him in case anything bad is going to happen. Archeo dropping down from top. Bad Joe picking up mid invisibility again. That timer is going to be at 329. At 429, the next invis will be able to spawn. Savang and Archeo picking up bottom droids. Kirby Derby holding the snipe down, taking out that bottom droid push again. Archeo again being very aggressive as Scolder, trying to land those throws. So far from the UK team, we're seeing an excellent display of teamwork and an excellent display of skill on Archeo. Archeo manages to get in, but Bad Joe picks him up with the spike dive and the bubble. Equal is stuck on Blue's creep zone and manages to get picked up by Ayla's Evil Eye and turret damage. Zydecore fighting in mid now with Kirby Derby and Bad Joe, and both teams back off and give their teams respective space. Ayla is now picking up boots. Let's see how Savang plays out after, picking up increased damage of rage and boots. Kirby Derby taking out the bottom droid push. Savang and Bad Joe battling it out in mid. Xylacor entering the mid, and Bad Joe is timed it again. 431. At 531, we should see the next invis, and obviously right now the US team is timing invis very well. I don't think the UK team is really focusing on invis, as they're kind of winning these team battles a little bit more. They're holding down mid a little bit better, but the US team is managing to get into mid and just pick up that invisibility right before the UK team even notices it. Equal and Bad Joe taking out the top droid lane push. Xylacor accidentally pushing one of the droids into the turret, allowing for a quick poke from the droid. Kirby Derby landing a nice little area of denial time rift. And it looks like we're going to see Savang try and engage here, but he realizes that his teammates are nowhere near him and decides to back off. An excellent play by Savang. Archeo and Savong in mid. Equal chasing down Savong. Does manage to get a little damage off. And Bad Joe, yes, the...
No, it's not that. Enemy has
Very good follow-up by Bad Joe to finish off.
Absolutely. He knew he had mid-timed, picked up that invis, and the blue team just came up at the bumper at the right time. The UK team did make a small error there, but I think if the UK team does manage to time invis a little bit better, they'll be able to take this game. And we see Zydecore landing a ball again on the droids, and Archeo trying to come in. Bad Joe with a nice spike dive, pushing Zydecore back into the creep zone. Archeo chasing down Equal along with the rest of the UK team. The US team is now going to focus on bottom. Kirby Derby getting hit with the Earthquake, manages to miss the snipe, and blue team is going to hop right back up in mid. Archeo with the miss throw. Bad Joe cleaning up bottom.
So one thing that's a little bit counterintuitive on the blue team is all three of them being melee characters. Sometimes it's dangerous for melee to push, but they're applying a lot more turret pressure than the US has been able to.
One thing that I have noticed, and I think that could change the tides of this game, a nice throw by Archeo, manages to land it behind the turret, and they see him going down, but managed to miss Coco. Zydecore almost hitting the bottom ball, almost taking out Equal on bottom. And as we see now, Zydecore hitting a nice ball on Kirby Derby, bring him down to about half health, forcing him back into the creep zone.
And a strong push on top.
An extremely strong push on top, but Kirby Derby coming behind him with the time rift, but it looks like Savong is going to get some great damage on all members of the US team right now, hitting Bad Joe with a nice evil eye, bringing him down to about half health. And he gets hit with a ball by Coco, bringing him down to 1 health, just barely surviving, and decides to teleport out, as it is a good decision. Savong and Zydecore up top now in the jungle. Savong dropping down, looks like he's going to take out the bottom droid push, and Zydecore does manage to pick up Invis at 737. 837 is the next time to look for Invis.
So we saw Raylan there scanning for the invisible knot. That's a strategy you can use. For those of you who don't play Raylan, you can see whenever it's targeting a player because it lights up orange.
Yep, and Equal picking up a nice little tongue, and Kirby Derby getting the predicted snipe on Archeo from the jump pad. Savong going into rage mode immediately, trying to get some good damage down, forces Kirby Derby back. Kirby eats an evil eye, and it looks like Archeo and the blue team, UK does pick up Equal from bottom, that DOT, a nice throw.
So on the topic of Viola again, I'm noticing her running into full team fights, kind of 2-on-1 situations, initiating and creating an opportunity for the rest of her team to come in and back up. It's because Isla's one of those few nuts who can.
Your mic cut out, but we are going to see Bad Joe pick up Invis again and manage to get away with it again. But as you were saying about Ayla, yeah, she is playing very aggressive going into the 1v2 or 1v3 team fights and basically relying on Zydecore and Archeo to come in behind her and basically kind of work as cleanup.
No, it's not that. An enemy has been killed.
As we look at a nice little engage on Equal on bottom, it looks like he's going to get picked up, but Kirby Derby picking up the snipe on Archeo, forcing Zydecore back again.
And those are the kind of snipes that you really want to look for from Raylan, is as everybody is leaving, a nice retreat snipe.
One thing that Kirby has to really be careful of is team positioning, because if he can get behind his team positioning like that, he just went up to snipe right at the top of the creep zone and managed to pick up Archeo with the snipe, just as Equal was picked up by Savong.
And Raylan is a very strong brawler, but the snipe is crucial to winning team fights.
Especially with the CC right now, Zydecore getting away with a nice blaze away from Equal. Equal getting the nice damage though. Savong and Archeo picking up the top droids right now. Bad Joe is timing mid again. You can see him waiting in mid for that invis. Manages to get down low and say forget about it. clean up that bottom turret push. Archeo in mid now, hopefully trying to time it, but mistimed it again. And let's see when the invis is going to come up. It should be within the next 20 seconds, I would assume. Nice little engagement going on, and a throw by Archeo, managing to pick up Bad Joe. Savong, an excellent play, and manages to get a nice Evil Eye on Kirby Derby, as well as pick up invis. It looks like it was at 10:45. Next time to look for invis is going to be at 11:45.
And two invisible nuts bumping up against each other.
Some nice damage on bottom turret. Hanging out in the creep zone inside their pocket. Kirby Derby's going to take a lot of damage here and is forced to get out. Savong cleaning up the droids, picking up some extra health. Zydecore playing defense right behind Savong, making sure that Savong is not going to take too much damage while enraged. Kirby Derby picking up the snipe on his creeps.
He was trying to wait for somebody to pop up and get a surprise snipe there.
And Zydecore going up top, and Savong is going to get picked up by the nice tongue from Equal into the rest of the U.S. team. Now, the U.S. team should have a top push right now. They should be getting some nice damage on this. Equal getting a nice tongue again. Banjo going in for the spike dive. Archeo missing the throw, and Raylan's time rift allows him to miss that throw. Banjo picking up invis, and it looks like Kirby's going to clear bottom, and Zydecore is going to get picked up by the ranged spike dive on Bad Joe.
That was very aggressive positioning from Nikoko there. She was just desperate to defend that turret.
In a situation like that, I'm not entirely sure that Zydecore knew that Bad Joe had invis. She knew that the U.S. team did have it. Equal seems to get an interesting, questionable tongue on Archeo on bottom. It looked from my side that he tongued him from bottom mid diagonally up back from the jungle. Archeo landing a nice throw on Kirby, manages to pick up Equal with the bottom third punch. And it looks like Archeo is going to go into the creep zone. Bad Joe is forced to teleport back into their creep zone, and it may look like blue team can take bottom turret with this push. Bad Joe is trying to get down there as quick as possible, see what the damage looks like, and decides to back off a little bit. Zydecore putting the preemptive ball out there to prevent Bad Joe from doing more damage than he should be. And the blue droids, the UK droids, do manage to pick up the bottom turret. Zydecore hanging out in the pocket, managed to get the surprise ball on Kirby Derby. And as we see now, Archeo picking up the bottom. Zydecore just trying to take out the top turret, the top droid push, excuse me. Kirby missing the snipe on Archeo. Archeo going in. It seems like Archeo is trying to get the 3v1 situation. Zydecore didn't really do much in there, but it seems like he did land a throw, but managed to get out into the creep zone. Zydecore trying to get the ball out. Equal getting a nice tongue on Savong. Savong looks like she's going to get away and allow Archeo to get a nice little top droid push. Picking up
that throw with Archeo, or Zydecore. I don't think he wanted to engage just because it was a 3-on-2 situation, and it was a nice opportunity to get an aggressive throw, but then there would have been a lot of DPS fallout from the red team. So I think trying to back up and just keep his teammate from dying was a good decision.
I agree, but to an extent, if you have your engager running in, Zydecore landing a nice ball on Kirby Derby, we're going to see Savong pick up Kirby Derby. Equal does manage to get a little poke on Savong, but he has to get out. And Archeo getting a nice throw on Equal again, but Equal is just extremely fast. Zydecore trying to get the preemptive ball again. Equal going into stealth mode, kind of hanging around in their creep zone, not really able to do much though. But as you were saying before, with Archeo running in on that, Zydecore not using the ball, when your engager is running in like that for the throw, you kind of have to have a mutual understanding of what each player is going to do. You can see a Scoldier running in for a throw. If you can try and land the ball in and make his throw hit, you may sacrifice one. It may be a 2v1 situation, but chances are you're also going to pick one up as well. So you may trade, but a nice little dodge there by Bad Joe. Not sure if you saw that on bottom. Savong was chasing Bad Joe down. Bad Joe decided to go into the blue area as opposed to going back, and avoids the Evil Eye from Alo. And the US team does get a nice amount of turret damage up top and picks up the top turret. And the UK team has managed to get back in. It looks like Archeo is going to land a nice throw, misses the Earthquake, but Kirby Derby is stuck in the creep zone right now, and that is a bad choice for Kirby to stay in on a situation like that. Archeo trying to get the throw, but manages to miss the throw. Equal waiting to see if Archeo is going to come up in the creep zone, see if you can get a nuke tongue on him.
That was some very good coordination from the UK there. Archeo covering his teammates to get everybody out with just enough health.
Absolutely. And they did manage to pick up Kirby. Kirby stayed in a little bit too long for comfort, but Equal does manage to get thrown by Archeo again, and it looks like Savang is going to try and cut him off. Equal heading down on bottom, waiting for Bad Joe. Zydecore again using the preemptive Cocoa Ball, just misses. Bad Joe was waiting in pocket, just waiting to see if anybody would come down there. Kirby Derby landing, trying to hit the snipe on bottom. It looks like Archeo might try and land another throw, but misses. But Kirby Derby is just taking a lot of damage, and Kirby Derby gets chased down and taken out by Zydecore and Savang. Savang chasing Bad Joe back. Equal in the back right now. Does manage to get the silence on Zydecore. Bad Joe coming back in from the red zone and does manage to pick up the spike dive kill. That was an excellent lure by Equal into the zone. Excellent play by Bad Joe to come back out as well.
Very nice use of the invisibility as well.
Absolutely. As we see here, we see Archeo being able to pick up Invis, taking about half damage though. Archeo's about half health with Savang up top.
And it's always a bit of a dilemma when you have invisibility but your health is low, whether you want to engage with that or not.
As we see now, we have Equal. I think the US team is more or less waiting for Equal to try and land the nuke tongue in and then just go from burst from there. As he does get the tongue in on Zydecore, Archeo trying to stay in but realizes that his team is behind him and has to back up a little bit. And will he land another throw? That's the question. It looks like he does land the other throw. Savang and Zydecore relentless with the throw after. And we have another fight, and Archeo does manage to get the other throw, but Bad Joe is going to look like he's going to get taken out. Zydecore is reconnecting for a second in mid. Equal taking a lot of damage, but Archeo gets the throw kill on Equal.
Very impressive play from Archeo to be able to respond immediately to Cloak of Leon when he only had about like 20-30 health to start with.
Archeo is very smart with his upgrades in this game, decides to go for heal punch as opposed to straight damage on punch, and that heal punch allowed him to pick up the kill on Bad Joe as well as get up top and throw Equal into the second kill. As we see now, the blue team is hanging out in the red creep zone, managing to just kind of farm around there, take the creep droids every once in a while, and it looks like they're going to get some damage on bottom turret. Zydecore trying to get the preemptive ball again. It looks like Archeo is going to be taken out right here, but a nice body block by Zydecore allows Archeo to just skate on by and teleport out. Excellent plays by the UK team here.
So, massive engagement and no kills to show for it for either team.
That is true, but the way that Zydecore body blocked with Coco, allowing Archeo to just get out, was just such an excellent show of just how much teamwork and the chemistry that they have working together.
So normally, by this point of the game, Raylan would have maxed her snipe up, but it looks like Kirby Derby is going for a blaster and a time rift build.
That's true. It looks like Kirby's going for max AA as opposed to snipe. Bad Joe timing Invis again at 1942, I believe. Small engagements going on right now. Equal up top fighting Archeo, but it looks like Archeo's left alone. Equal should have been in there with the tongue. Equal missing the tongue, but Bad Joe does manage to get the spike dive, and Raylan's blaster, that damage after the time rift is out, just takes him apart. And you see Savang here picking up Equal in rage mode, and it looks like Savang is going to try and head out on bottom and does manage to escape. Bad Joe picking up the bottom, and it looks like Savang and Zydecore are going to try and start to look towards Bad Joe a little bit and try to take him out. Zydecore with a preemptive ball again, but manages to miss Savong, and Zydecore just farming up here. As you can see, it looks like the bottom droids are going to be about even at this point, but Savong decides to pick him up. Bad Joe spike diving into Zydecore, forcing her to go back. As we see Kirby Derby and Bad Joe just farming up the bottom and taking out the bottom push. Savong trying to force the U.S. team back into their red creep zone. Zydecore taking a lot of damage, but they managed to get the throw off again into Coco and Ayla. Archeo is playing extremely aggressive here, and it is paying off. He is landing almost every single throw into that, and I think I finally realized the strategy from the UK team on this. As soon as Archeo is getting the throw off, Coco is blazing around the thrown victim, which is allowing Ayla to just basically swamp up any kill. Nice little damage on top turret right now. Archeo landing the Earthquake, trying to force Bad Joe back. Savong trying to hit that. Kirby Derby coming in with the snipe, but misses. And Savong, it looks like Archeo is going to take a good amount of damage right now. But Savong is able to get in there, deal massive amounts of damage, and escape with about a quarter health. Invis is up. Let's see who's going to pick it up. Archeo goes back for Invis at 2149. Archeo and Equal just bumping and just touching each other for a second there in the creep zone. Both teams are waiting on the other person to become visible. And Savong forcing Bad Joe back into the creep zone again. And it seems like Archeo burned his Invis, but Equal still has his. And a nice burst from the US team into Zydecore, picking up from Bad Joe into Zydecore. And it looks like Ayla's going to manage to hit the Evil Eye on Bad Joe. Archeo misses the Earthquake, but Kirby Derby landing a nice snipe through the jump pad. Savong is going to look on bottom, and it looks like Bad Joe's going to try and chase Savong down. Manages to pick him up, but Archeo does manage to pick up Kirby Derby against the turret. Excellent plays by both teams there. Great movement around the map, and it was just an excellent form of map awareness on both sides. Bad Joe and Equal Invis in mid. Bad Joe's going to get a nice amount of damage after Equal's tongue. Archeo cleaning up the bottom push here and healing up on the droids. Bad Joe and Equal look like they're going to head down low right now. Archeo just poking out the bottom push. Equal looks like he's going to get behind him. Bad Joe getting a nice spike dive in. But, oh, the silence. He's looking to try and get the throw off, but the silence from Bad Joe allows them to fiddle around for a little bit. Unfortunately, Equal does get picked up by Zydecore, though. And a nice little engagement going on here. We have the whole UK team forcing themselves into the red team's creep zone, and the UK team does manage to take the top turret from the US team. Bottom turret for US has about 2 bars left. It looks like they're going to try and tank it now, but with Kirby Derby there, and a nice little gnome throw, allowing the next bar from the red turret to be taken. Savong trying to get a little damage in there with the Evil Eye. Zydecore trying to get the visibility on the map. Just hanging out in that red zone again. We have Archeo with invisibility again, as well as Equal. Looks like Kirby Derby lands a nice snipe on him, too. Manages to pick up both creeps as well as snipe Archeo back into the pocket.
So we're seeing the US take a very defensive position right here. With trying to land the cloak along with the sniper in the back.
We do see that happening, and a nice little engagement there. You see Archeo picking up the damage over time kill, Zydecore picking up the ball kill on Equal, and this looks like the blue team may be able to take bottom turret. Kirby Derby still fighting it out on the bottom turret, trying to land the snipes. Zydecore and Archeo both tanking turret damage. Zydecore landed a nice throw before in mid, and Kirby Derby's waiting for his nuke shot. He does manage to hit the nuke shot on Archeo, forcing him into the zone. Zydecore just taking him apart, and Archeo landing the nice throw damage. That double gnome just does so much damage. Zydecore picking up Invis, and it looks like Zydecore is going to hang out in the creep zone and burn Invis. Archeo teleporting back. Bad Joe picking up some extra pills just in case. Coco now picking up speed on Ball, I believe, as well as damage on Blaze. And it looks like the U.S. team is going to have to battle it out a little bit here and try and regain some ground with the droid pushes. Savong and Zydecore hanging out in mid, Equal just waiting to try and land that nuke tongue. And as you can see, the U.S. team's strategy is basically relying about Equal to land the silence tongue after that. Kirby Derby is alone by himself, landing the nice throw, the Blaze, and it looks like Savong is going to pick up, no, excuse me, Zydecore is going to pick up the kill on Kirby Derby. Equal again in Viz, looking for the Ayla. Ayla hanging out in mid against Savong. Equal is in a very bad position right now, but a nice throw again, and the taunt. This looks like it may be GG. Another nice throw by Archeo, forcing Equal back, and it seems like Zydecore and Archeo are going to try and chase him back. Bad show. And Kirby Derby both down. It looks like it is going to be GG, and an excellent match from both teams. As we look at the kill count right now, the UK team 22, the US team 14. Both teams basically relied about their main engager. The main engager on the US team being Leon for that tongue engage, as well as Raylan trying to land that time rift aftershot. But the UK team, those throws from Skoldir were just overpowering. And as you saw, their strategy developed over time from Skoldir landing the throws into the Coco's Blaze and having Savong pick up any stragglers left from the Blaze. That was an excellent strategy. As you said in the beginning, you weren't too sure about Ayla as a choice because she was considered one of the worst knots in the game, but they managed to pick up quite a few kills with that combination. Both teams played excellently in that match. Unfortunately, Agalon is a very difficult map to play. There's a bunch of timing going on, especially with the mid invisibility. It's very difficult to time that when you're playing at such a competitive level and you're communicating with your team so much. Anything that you'd like to add on that match?
Yeah, I would just like to say I love seeing Ayla picked because I think she's a cool knot and there is a lot of room for her to be in competitive play.
Your mic went out, I believe.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
So I love seeing Ayla picked. I feel like she's a really good knot for competitive play, and there's a lot of room to dodge her and work around her in solo queue, but that ability to just do like high AOE lifesteal damage to a whole team, you can really pick people off, and the way they used it here with the Blaze and the throw all at the same time is a great comp on the UK team. The other thing I want to point out is I don't really like this Raylan build from Kirby Derby. The very high damage didn't get attack speed. It's all damage. I think you actually get better DPS if you take attack speed as opposed to a Lucky Cat. And really no snipe upgrades at any point. A little bit of upgrades to the time rift, even one of the time rift upgrades being HC bomb for the blaster, and I don't think that worked out for the US. I think they could have used with some more range and harassment.
It may not have been the best choice for that map, but I believe they had a strategy in mind. Unfortunately, the UK team was just able to counteract that with the great crowd control abilities from Skoldir, the throw, the snare on Earthquake, and after you got thrown, you were straight into the Coco's Blaze, and Savong was already on you. Just massive burst on from the UK team. That being said, the Awesome Knots Charity Cup again. We'll just talk about this once more.
Another shout out because there's probably people jumping in and out of the stream. So the Awesome Knots Charity Cup hosted by Alexis is going to be going on. Sign-ups ending on the 10th. We want to see a lot of people going into that and donations, especially the charity. If you can't sign up, you can throw a couple bucks their way.
Yeah, definitely take a look into that. All donations go to charity, so just be sure to take a look into that. It's a nice way to get involved with the Awesome Knots community and keep the competitive scene going. That, along with the new tournament announced. So it's going to be Awesome Knots is going to be in the competitive scene for a while. That being said, I guess we can move on into the third match. So I'm at 20 seconds into the third match if you want to get set up there. But I'll basically start discussing the team compositions again. Looks like the U.S. team is going to keep things the same. Equal as Froggy, Kirby Derby, Rocking, Ted again, and Bad Joe as Scree. And we take a look at the UK team. Dave W. getting put in as Coco. We have Daniel getting put in as Penny. And Zydecore switching it up, playing Clunk. As far as the team comp goes on this, the U.S. team is keeping it basically the same. I expect to see the same kind of area of denial from Bad Joe, using his totem as well as his saw to keep things moving for the U.S. team and allow them to hold that mid position for the whole game. The team composition for the UK team is a bit different, but Zydecore has a huge advantage coming up mid with that explosion. It's going to be very difficult for the U.S. team to avoid that explosion if Zydecore times it just right and comes up mid with the explosions. Of course, you have Penny, which can easily amp the explosion, and you have Coco, which obviously you've seen the way Coco plays in Augulon, and it's extremely effective. That being said, if you'd like to count us down, I am at 20 seconds on my side, so...
Alright, we're ready to go in 3, 2, 1, play.
A new shipment of droids is about to arrive.
So, Oz, did you hear my countdown?
Nope.
Alright, so we'll redo the start.
I'm at 20 seconds right now, so whatever you want to count it down.
Alright, can someone in the stream let me know, were you guys able to hear me on the stream whenever I did the first countdown? But we'll go ahead and get started. Oz, you can hear me now, right?
Yep.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1, go.
And as we see here, it looks like Zydecore is going to pick up the Piggy Bank, Explosion, and Bite. Kirby Derby immediately airstriking bottom mid in order to take the bottom control. Looks like the U.S. team is going to take mid with ease. As we have Bad Joe trying to get that out, and Kirby Derby airstriking top, not hitting anybody. Danny Will teleporting back, realizing that he didn't buy any upgrades, and decides to buy Pounce and Pulse on that. As we have Dave coming up mid with Blaze, and Kirby Derby battling it out with Zydecore in bottom, forces Zydecore to get back and gets a little poke on the turret. The airstrike up mid, and it looks like Daniel is going to back off a little bit from mid, and Zydecore tries to get into that bottom mid area, but the U.S. team denies him completely. Dave W, Zydecore, and Daniel Will both on their side now. Dave W and Daniel both getting hit by Kirby's airstrike.
We see US going in for early mid control in this game, just like in the first one.
Well, of course, you absolutely need mid-control on Ribbit, and the nice little retracted saw from Bad Joe bouncing off the turret and double-hitting Dave W, forcing him to teleport back. The airstrike from Kirby Derby on bottom, kind of restricting movement from their bottom jungle. Looks like Kirby's going to try and take their turret damage a little bit, and Daniel does manage to miss the pulse. Zydecore getting hit by that airstrike and forced back into his turret zone. And the Blaze in bottom mid, Bad Joe decides to go up and get hit by it. Dave W getting hit by Kirby Derby's airstrike again. Daniel landing a nice pulse on Kirby Derby. But it looks like the U.S. team is going to take some serious turret damage up top. Zydecore forcing them back into the mid area. And it looks like the UK team is going to try and take their Solar Boss now and manages to. Zydecore picking up the full health. Kirby Derby airstriking mid as a preemptive strike again. And Dave W getting in for the poke. And apparently it does not hit Equal, which is very surprising. Daniel running in for the Pulse and manages to hit Bad Joe and Equal. But Equal and Bad Joe both up top. Zydecore using his top explosion, but manages to miss and gets hit by the airstrike on the way up. Daniel kind of restricted movement on bottom, manages to take out the bottom totem. Dave W working into their creep zone, managed to pick up the U.S. team's creep health. And the turret on bottom restricting the movement. Again, Zydecore trying to take that out as quick as possible. And Bad Joe coming up top. And Kirby Derby landing a nice airstrike in mid. Penny Daniel chasing them down. Zydecore does manage to save Daniel, but Bad Joe is chasing Daniel down. Daniel manages to escape unscathed. Dave W restricted movement in mid, excuse me. Zydecore cleaning up the bottom, and Dave W managing to poke out top droids with a little bit of Blaze and a little bit of Cocoa Ball. Zydecore poking at the bottom turret a little bit, equal down there quickly to end that droid push. Bad Joe dropping the totem up top, preventing the completely jump up movement up top. Zydecore in mid manages to explode, but doesn't deal enough damage. It looks like the U.S. team Kirby Derby does manage to pick up Daniel Will in bottom mid jungle. Bad Joe looking for that totem drop again, and it looks like they're going to try and clear bottom as fast as possible. Kirby Derby picking up their creep health. Dave W just kind of hanging out on bottom, trying to take out the droid push there. And it looks like they're going to have some good damage on top again. Nice ball by Dave W, stopping that push right in its tracks. And Daniel Will back in again.
Tons of early pressure coming from the U.S. again. We're seeing a very similar play to the first match.
You know, it's that airstrike in mid that really just kind of forces the UK team to remove themselves from mid in any fashion. And it looks like Kirby Derby's going to pick up some quick AA damage. And he is going to attempt to pick up their solar boss, and manages to pick up the solar boss. Daniel Will in mid, and the totem from Bad Joe and the retracted saw manages to hit once on Daniel Will. And it seems like Equal is going to be teleporting back to pick up some damage on the... He actually picks up Hammer Pants. Another airstrike hitting Zydecore from Kirby Derby. Daniel Will landing the pulse on Bad Joe. Bad Joe and Equal just punishing the top turret right now with the totem push.
So this is looking a lot like the first match. Do you think we're going to see the same result?
Honestly, it's a bit too early to tell. Both teams are playing extremely... Well, I see the U.S. team playing a bit more aggressive than the UK team, playing a bit more passive, but a nice little engagement going on right now. Equal might get stuck out by Zydecore, and Zydecore and Daniel Will manage to pinch him. Kirby Derby does manage to pick up the kill on Dave W, though. And here we go again. Bad Joe trying to get out from Penny. Kirby Derby coming to the rescue, trying to land the airstrike, but Zydecore and Daniel Will both back up. And as we can see here, we have Bad Joe picking up Steel Drum on screen for the extra damage on Saw. Kirby Derby landing a nice airstrike on Daniel Will in mid. Bad Joe dropping the totem, preventing the full jump up again. And we have a nice little engagement going on in mid. Daniel Will coming in, but he wastes his charges, and Kirby Derby's airstrike is forcing the UK team straight out of mid again. Every time the UK team gets into mid, it seems like Kirby Derby can take it back single-handedly. Daniel Will is going to pick up the solar balls. Kirby Derby landing a nice airstrike, but Bad Joe manages to get the turret retracted saw and pick up a kill on Dave W. It seems like Equal and Kirby Derby pushing on bottom. Bad Joe trying to pick up Daniel Will. Daniel Will knocking Kirby Derby back into the turret, and Daniel is going to chase Kirby Derby out until Bad Joe drops the totem.
So one thing that we talked about last game with Coco is getting superconductor a little bit late. She has it much earlier in this game.
I can see it now. I'm basically looking at it for the pushes into mid, but it looks like bottom turret is taken by the U.S. team, and top turret is now taken from the U.S. team as well. But superconductor at this point in the game, I think it's a smart idea, especially if you're going to be blazing up mid, trying to escape, get the little extra pokes in there. Kirby Derby trying to clear those droid waves up top. Bad Joe clearing them on bottom. Dave and Daniel, as well as Zydecore, both up top. Dave pushing down through their bottom jungle. Zydecore in mid jungle right now. And it seems like they land a nice ball on Bad Joe, and the UK team tries to retake mid. Equal getting some nice pokes in there. Zydecore going for the explode, but gets denied by Bad Joe. And it seems like the UK team have retaken mid. But this bottom turret push right now from the Super Droid may be causing some good damage on the UK team's bottom turret. Unfortunately, it does get taken out by the turret and the regular droids. Bad Joe and Equal pushing up top, and it seems that Zydecore has gone back. Zydecore picking up boots and explosion damage on the explode. And a nice airstrike by Ted hitting Zydecore again. A ball from Dave W hitting Bad Joe, but just barely. And it seems like Dave W is going to retreat back and try to stop the droid push on bottom while Daniel and Zydecore are up top. Another airstrike from Ted, just barely missing. Daniel W hanging out in mid. Zydecore waiting on bottom, going up for the explode. Does manage to hit it, and it seems like the UK team is going to take out Kirby Derby, but Daniel will chasing down Froggy, and Daniel does manage to pick up Equal. An interesting trade for both teams. That was an excellent play by Zydecore coming up mid. It looks like Bad Joe's going to get some good damage and manages to escape, and Dave W is going to head back into their creep zone and maybe pick up health or teleport back. He does pick up the health, and it looks like the UK team is going to be punishing the bottom turret for the US on this one. Dave W going for the split push now, managed to poke out the turret a little bit, and it seems that the bottom turret for the US team has about 3.5 bars left while they're going to start attacking the top turret, get it down to about half health, and retreat back into mid. In a situation like that, the UK team played very smart in giving up mid to the US team and retreating back. You see, you have the US team coming in and Equal, you know he's going to go into mid, he's going to hit that frog splash dash, and then you have the totem from Scree restricting the movement as well as the airstrike in mid. Very smart play by the UK team to head back into their creep zone and pick up their solar boss. We have Bad Joe battling it out with Daniel Will and Zydecore up top. Kirby Derby landing the airstrike down low. And it seems that Equal Bad Joe is going to drop the totem on their jump pad. Bad Joe forcing Zydecore to go back. It looks like Penny is going to be picking up the silencing effect on Energy Pulse. Interesting choice, but you know what? We'll see how it works. Kirby Derby hitting another nice airstrike on Zydecore. Dave W trying to land the ball from bottom up to top. Daniel does manage to hit the pulse and silence Bad Joe. Zydecore just hanging out in the jump zone, trying to pick up some health. Bad Joe steals the health from him, but Zydecore manages to get a bite off and takes a little damage from the turret. Kirby Derby dropping the hammer again with the airstrike, and a nice pulse by Daniel, hitting 2 of the US members and pushing himself into mid. Kirby Derby looks like he's going to try and head up right now, as well as the rest of the US team. Daniel Will getting chased down by Equal and Bad Joe, but Kirby Derby drops the preemptive airstrike and allows Bad Joe and Equal to escape. And we're going to see an upgrade from Clunk here. Increased the Succonator, which is basically damage and lifesteal. More Steel Drum, and it looks like Bad Joe is going to start to build into AA and Boots. Kirby Derby hitting a nice airstrike and forcing the UK team to back up from top mid, and Dave W is caught out of position right now. Let's see what the US team can do with this. Kirby Derby dropping the airstrike, just missing, and Dave W, excellent movement, excellent map awareness in getting out of there. Equal should have been up top on that situation just to be ready for the splash dash and try and pick up the kill. A little caught out of position, but an excellent play. Both US and UK teams picking up their solo boss right now. Looks like Coco is going to start building into ball damage. Kirby Derby dropping the airstrike. Dave W being caught out again. Bad Joe and Equal going in for the kill. Manages to escape. Now we have Daniel W picking up the kill, chasing down Bad Joe and saving Dave W.
So, do you see anything interesting coming out of the builds from either of these teams?
I don't really see anything too interesting just yet. These are basic average builds from both teams. Interesting that Penny decided to pick up silence in this situation. If Penny should have been getting range for that matter, a little bit earlier so she can get the behind turret kills. Kirby Derby landing a nice airstrike in mid. These are all basic builds. Daniel picking up a nice kill, and Zydecore goes for the explode but misses the explode. It seems like the UK team has retaken mid. Daniel Will chasing down Bad Joe into their own zone, and it looks like Equal's going to try and save him, but gets caught out, and Dave W with the nice save on Daniel.
So at the beginning of the game, the US seemed to have no trouble getting in the mid, holding it, and keeping it for a really long time. But now there's a lot more back and forth, a lot more pressure from the UK. What's changed in this match?
It's the mid game right now, and the second that Ted is removed from the mid, it's very difficult for him to get back in mid without trying to clear the droid lanes. Of course, he can always go in through bottom, but with Zydecore and Dave W switching up so easily, it's very difficult for him to get back into that mid area. Of course, they can take it back very easily, but it's just the mid game right now, and this is where Clunk really starts picking up and Penny starts really getting into her upgrades. Both teams playing very smart, though, as you can see. There we saw Kirby Derby again. They retake mid with one airstrike. So, as I said before, it's that mid game. It seems that Daniel Will is going to try and take the solar balls, but gets caught out by Kirby Derby and Equal manages to steal his solar balls, drop down the totem by Bad Joe, and the US team does pick up Dave and Daniel. Zydecore is forced back into his own zone, and here we have Kirby Derby clearing bottom and battling it out with Zydecore. Equal and Bad Joe up top doing some good damage to the droid push, and they're going to get some good damage on the turret, but the nice bite in from Zydecore. Unfortunately, Froggy is able to dash out of that with no problem, and Zydecore does manage to get a little bit of damage in on that droid push up top. Kirby Derby basically taking off on bottom turret right now. He's teeing off. Zydecore again going in for the jump in bite explode, but manages to miss. Daniel goes in for the pulse off the jump pad and misses as well. Now we have Equal picking up pills for the US team, and the US team has a nice droid push on top. They're taking a good portion out of that right now. The top turret for blue is about a little bit more than half. Bottom turret is at half right now. The US team hanging out in mid. The UK team is walking around in their jungle area. Kirby Derby dropping the airstrike, hitting Zydecore again. The UK team forced back. Equal out of position a little bit, but Bad Joe dropping the totem in anticipation. Zydecore coming up for the explode, manages to miss, and it looks like the US team may be able to pick up Zydecore on this one. And no, unfortunately not. Daniel manages to save Zydecore in mid and pick up the kill. As we see now, we see Bad Joe going into AA, and Equal picking up some more pills, as well as Zydecore picking up pills. Top turret for the US team, top and bottom turret for the US team are about a little less than a quarter, and Daniel W manages to get out nicely with the save by Dave and the Blaze. Now we have Kirby Derby basically holding down the fort on bottom, fighting Zydecore and Dave W at the same time, dropping that airstrike every so often, manages to hit Daniel up top with it, and Bad Joe and Equal trying to catch Dave W on the way up from their jungle, but just managed to miss.
Kirby with the range on his AA, they're really helping him keep that area under control without making himself too unsafe.
Absolutely. As you can see now, we have Kirby Derby, Zydecore, and Bad Joe getting into it, and Bad Joe's trying to chase down Equal, picking up the nice kill on Zydecore. Dave W has to take down that turret, and now you can see Kirby Derby picking up Starstorm statue and damage on airstrike. This is going to be some great damage coming out from Kirby Derby now.
Excellent
Dave
ball from
W's
W.
ball, yeah. If you saw that ball from Dave W, knock Kirby Derby right into the solar ball's spit, takes a nice portion of his health away.
And this part is a little bit slow as droids have to advance.
And Daniel W it almost looks like Daniel's trying to bait the U.S. team into that solar ball zone. I don't know if you've realized that, but that's the second or third time that he's started to poke at the solar balls and baited the U.S. team into that zone. Dave W and Equal battling it out down low, and Daniel W gets the nice jump on Bad Joe and picks up the kill. And the UK team is going to pick up their solar balls now. Equal hanging out in mid, manages to get the nice attack on Zydecore, but Zydecore getting the explode.
Very interesting as Zydecore was able to turn that around by getting the last hit in on the solar boss and going from almost no health to completely full.
Well, I believe Daniel kind of left it open for Zydecore to get into and pick up that health. They saw the Froggy coming, and I think it was an excellent play. The UK team is going to take the bottom turret right now. Top turret has about 2 bars left on the US side. They could possibly tank this, but Bad Joe and Kirby Derby are back in, so it doesn't look like they'll be able to push forward any further than they already have.
Looks like a pretty good push for blue on top.
It does indeed, but all teams have full members now, and we're on to full power on the ice. It looks like Equal's going to take a good amount of damage from that explode, but Daniel W also manages to pick up Bad Joe. Kirby Derby trying to catch him out. Equal maybe escaping now. Zydecore and Kirby Derby battling it out, and Dave W manages to miss the ball, but Daniel, here he comes. He sees him and manages to pick up the kill on Kirby Derby. An excellent execution of map awareness from the UK team. We see the UK team just heading down through the bottom jungle right now. An excellent push on the bottom for the UK team. They've got a super droid and about 3 regular droids. It looks like Dave W is going to try and land the random ball, and there's going to be some great damage for the UK team on the bottom turret. Equal has to kind of take out that top super droid before he can do anything. And this is a nice totem by Bad Joe to prevent any more damage, but the UK team has just completely taken down bottom turret's health. Kirby Derby now building into attack speed on Stimpack. Zydecore getting the explode, just manages to miss though. Kirby Derby landing the airstrike up top, getting some droid health taken off. And a nice ball by Dave W into the UK team, and they managed to pick up Kirby Derby again. Equal coming down from behind, and Bad Joe at the turret right now, and it looks like the UK team is going to take the bottom turret, with Equal unable to do anything considering the 3 members of the UK team all on the bottom turret.
After getting kind of taken apart by the UK there, having everybody coming back in one at a time on the US, they were never able to completely regroup to stop any of those pushes, especially with super droids up and down and different members of the US getting distracted.
I can equate that to Daniel's mobility on this map. The pounce and the pulses just forcing the US team into areas they don't want to be in. As you can see now, Bad Joe running in on the solar boss, attacking Daniel, but Daniel manages to pick up the solar boss from Bad Joe with the pounce. As we see here, Kirby Derby trying to clear that bottom, trying to clear Dave W from that jump pad, who's just going to use Superconductor to hit around the turret. And Daniel W on bottom again. He may manage to pick up the kill, but no, Bad Joe with a nice save. And it seems like Zydecore is going full AA now. Bad Joe getting a nice kill. No, excuse me, Equal getting the dash kill. And now it looks like they are going to body block him. But Kirby Derby gets picked up, and it's a 1v1, Dave W versus Equal. But both team members back off of each other and give each other the space that they need to regroup, regain health, and fight another day. As we look at the kill count right now, the UK team is at 14, the US team is at 9.
We haven't seen any pressure on the UK turrets for a long time, so this might be a chance to reset the field and get the droids forward.
Absolutely. That was a great push a little while ago, about 5 minutes ago, from the UK team. They had both super droids on both lanes. They took both turrets down virtually at the same time and allowed that 6 split push, which basically took down the bottom turret very quickly. We're going to see Kirby Derby and Dave W battle it out now on bottom, and Dave W and the UK team managed to get up top. Kirby Derby dropping a nice airstrike, hitting the clunk And Daniel waiting to try and get the pulse off. Misses the pulse, but he is going to get some few more charges right back now. Zydecore trying to get the explode. He does manage to get the explode. Kirby Derby with the nice airstrike, but Daniel hitting Bad Joe with the pounce. Or pulse, excuse me. Looks like Kirby Derby and the US team are going to try and retake mid right now.
Daniel with Penny really doing an excellent job of just putting insane amounts of bursts on anybody who steps even a moment out of position.
Absolutely. A nice pounce, a nice splash dash from Equal on Penny. Zydecore coming in, trying to take some of that damage, and does manage to allow Penny to get away. Kirby Derby landing another airstrike on Zydecore again. Equal looking to try and test out the waters in their jungle, but manages to back off a little bit. Zydecore attacking the Solar Boss again, and I do believe the UK team is going to pick up another Solar Boss for them. As we see the UK team managing to hang out in the creep zone a little bit more, and a airstrike by Kirby Derby allows the US team to retake mid again. UK team working through their jungle zone right now. Kirby Derby knocking those airstrikes in, and you'll see Kirby Derby on bottom trying to clear bottom, leaving Bad Joe and Equal to battle a 3v2 up top. But it seems like both teams right now are just testing the waters. And another nice airstrike from Kirby Derby managing to hit Dave W. Dave W immediately picking up both creeps. A nice little engagement going on. Zydecore chasing down Kirby Derby, and he manages to land it. But it seems like the UK team is attacking Kirby Derby in a reconnect. And Daniel manages to pick up Kirby Derby in a reconnect kill. And Equal attacking. It is unfortunate. And I do believe that he would have been killed either way. But yeah, that was a little bit of a scummy move on the UK team to allow Daniel to also pick up charges.
I think we can let the Twitch chat argue over that one.
Yeah, guys, please don't argue much over that. It is part of the game. As we see Equal and Bad Joe trying to battle it out. See Equal getting caught out in the mid, but does manage to splash dash away. Bad Joe dropping the totem. Kirby Derby trying to clear along with the rest of the team. Daniel Will landing in the nice pulse in on Equal, forcing him back. Dave W hitting Kirby Derby with the nice Cocoa Ball. And Bad Joe taking the health away from Daniel and everybody else. And a nice Cocoa Ball launching Bad Joe back into the explode of Zydecore, and Equal trying to pick up any kill that he can right now and manages to do some quick hits and escape. Zydecore and the UK team backing into their creep zone and jungle, and it seems like the UK team is going to pick up another one of their solar bosses, and it looks like Coco is going to build slow effect on Blaze now, and it looks like Clux is going to pick up some more pills. Dave W trying to go for the ball again. Daniel Will hits the pulse on Equal. And it looks like Kirby Derby's going to get caught out, and Kirby Derby makes an unfortunate mistake and launches himself into the UK's clutches. Looks like Penny's going to hit the pulse again on Bad Joe. Zydecore and Daniel both hanging out up top, waiting for the US team to drop in. As we have Daniel trying to chase down Equal and Bad Joe. Bad Joe getting the saw in, but the save by Dave W and the ball for the knockback. Zydecore on bottom right now, regaining some health with the bite. And another knockback ball on Equal. Dave W, Daniel, and Xylotor on bottom. Daniel does manage to pick up the pounce kill on Equal. Bad Joe dropping the totem with Kirby Derby, and Xylotor and Daniel are just going to tear through that bottom totem. And Daniel Will is going to get hit by the airstrike and chased down by Bad Joe, but manages to miss the saw surprisingly. That looked like it went right through him. This is going to allow Dave W to hit some good turret damage, and Bad Joe sees it immediately, gets up there, drops the totem, gets the damage onto Dave W, excuse me. And it looks like Penny is just now going to pick up AA damage And it looks like Bad Joe's going to pick up some power pills, and the top turret for the US is going to come down. Xylocore going for the explode, manages to hit the explode on Equil, and it looks like Daniel is going to chase down the remaining members of the red team, and it looks like he does pick up the double kill on Bad Joe. Dave is going to hit the nice ball, and it just body blocks him back into the UK team. It looks like it's going to be a GG right now. Excellent plays by both teams. If I could say one thing about the builds, Kirby Derby should have built into knockback on the shotgun. I have a feeling that knockback on the shotgun would have been an excellent way to counteract Clunk Explode, Coco, and Penny at all times. The second that they get in close and personal, I understand knockback really isn't seen as a great perk to pick up on Ted, but in this situation, knockback could have been used to the best ability and kind of push people back, get that Clunk away from any explode damage that he may have, and just basically knock Penny back. Whenever Penny gets up close and personal, she's going to try and land those pulses, land those pounces, and the knockback is basically going to allow Kirby Derby to escape or trap for that matter. But if there's anything that you'd like to add, by all means, Kalazor, it's up to you, man.
I really think Daniel Will in the UK was MVP this match. Penny just such a strong presence, constantly picking off people from the US team, and just Penny might even be a little bit. I don't want to get too much into balance, but she might be a little bit overpowered right now just because of the amount of bursts that she can do. It's not like you can't work around it, but Daniel Will just taking full advantage of that this match.
Absolutely. And in no way was I actually bashing Kirby's build choices. It just would have been, in my opinion, it would have been a more feasible option to get knockback and be able to trap people, especially against Scree's Totem. It would have been a nice way to counteract the composition of the UK team. I do believe I need a break because I am just running out of voice here.
So we're going to take a break for a few minutes, and we'll be right back. So I'm going to let Oz walk away for a second while I just cover a couple other things. So that was the third match. You can see here I'm showing 5 matches. And I said at the beginning of the cast that there may or may not actually be 5 matches in this set. I just added 5, or I may or may not have added the last 2. The next one that we're going to watch is going to be the 4th game, and the current score is US having taken the first match and UK taking matches 2 and 3. So we're going to do 5 minutes from now, and we'll be right back. Okay, I think we're pretty much ready to come back. Oz, are you there?
I am here and ready. I just needed to get a drink. I feel like I was about to die over there. But
Yeah.
I'm on the third match right now, 20 seconds in while you're loading up, and the stream is delayed a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about the comps
We
and
just
the map
watched
again.
the third match, didn't we?
The fourth match, excuse me.
Okay.
Just give me 1 second.
Well, looks like I'm gonna have to flip the flags for this one.
Alright, so I am 20 seconds in, so I will start talking about the team comps for this one. For the US team, we have Equal playing Leon, Kirby Derby playing Yuri, and Lone Star from Bad Joe. For the UK team, we have Zydacor playing as Coco, Dave as Froggy, and Daniel as Penny again. As before, we have Augion for this one. Invis in mid, the top and bottom jungle zones are going to hold the 500 health orbs, as well as the creep zones, both holding 3 creeps for both teams. Things to look out for this: respawning on the invisibility is every minute. We're looking to see how well the teams are going to be able to time that invisibility, pick up the invis, and pick up the kills. We're also going to be looking for the battles in the creep zones, as they are more frequent than we would expect. Both jump pads on both sides of the bottom will bring both teams up to the top lane as quickly as possible, as well as a drop down in the middle from invisibility. Without further ado, I am 20 seconds in, so if you would like to count me down, and we can begin.
Okay, we're gonna be ready to go in 3, 2, 1, go.
We have both teams fighting it out in mid. Dave W dashing in and picking up invis and burning the bottom health orb. Zydacor going for the quick ball in bottom, but a nice amount of damage, and Dave W, he managed to get there. Zydacor has to back off, as well as Equal backing off, both into their creep zones. Kirby Derby mining up mid, landing a nice mine onto Dave W. Daniel and Zydacor fighting Bad Joe on bottom. Bad Joe managed to get out. Kirby Derby mining up bottom mid again. Managed to land the mine. Equal dropping down to bottom mid. Dave W up top in the jungle zone. And Daniel and Dave are going to hang out up top right now and clear those lanes. Nice little bottom push allows about a half a bar to be taken away from blue droids from the UK team. And it seems that the US team is going to be hanging out in the top zone. And bottom is cleared for the droid push for the UK team. The US team is scurrying down to bottom right now. Dave W hanging out in the bottom jungle zone. Kirby Derby dropping the mine down mid. Zydacor and Dave W both hanging out down bottom. Not really sure what's going on right now. Maybe they're trying to bait them into that while they still have the invis. Kirby Derby landing the mine on Zydacor. Zydacor drops down into bottom mid and eats the mine. Kirby Derby mining up mid again, just playing that whole area denial game for the US team. And they get a nice tongue into the mine on Daniel. That's a nice kill from the US team. And it looks like Zydacor is trying to battle it out with Bad Joe and managed to back off. Bad Joe looks like he's going to get out and try and pick up his creep help. They do. Dave W getting out and landing on their side.
So those tongues into mines are probably something that the US had in mind when they picked this comp.
Absolutely. Especially on Augion, you have Kirby Derby mining up the jump pads, getting those nice mines in. Equi getting into the... Equal, excuse me. I'm losing it. Equal getting into the mines and tonguing them into the mines. Zydacor, nice job on stealing that from the US team. Bad Joe trying to land those dynamites, but manages to just barely miss them. And it looks like we're going to go back to the testing the waters game. Zydacor eating a mine from the jump pad on the U.S. side. And it looks like we're going to see a nice little engagement down here, or not. Kirby Derby dropping the mine in anticipation. Bad Joe and Kirby Derby cleaning up. Daniel waiting around that mid area. Dave W in the jungle. He does manage to get a nice little dash on that. And it seems that they are going to pick up equal. And Daniel and Xylacor are fighting it out. Bad Joe picking up the nice kill. A nice exchange for the U.S. team being able to pick up both members of the U.K. team. Dave W hanging out in bottom creep zone right now. Excuse me, bottom jungle. Bad Joe getting a nice little turret push up top. This is going to take about a fifth of the UK team's top turret. And Kirby Derby is going to pick up Invis. Interesting. Kirby Derby getting behind him with that, landing the mine. But Daniel and Dave W managed to pick up Kirby Derby before the US team can get in there and save him.
And that is one of the dangers of Invis on Yuri, is just that he's slow to get out after he reveals himself.
In a situation like that, though, you had to take that. You see the frog with such low health, you can't resist it. I thought it was a very good decision for Kirby Derby to make that play, but the UK team just had his number on that one. And will Bad Joe be able to get away? He does manage to get away. The preemptive Cocoa Ball from Zydecore manages to get him away, and it looks like Kirby Derby is going to pick up damage on mines early, and Bad Joe is going to pick up damage on AA for Lone Star. And the UK team has managed to take about 2 bars away from the bottom of US turret. Equal eating a Cocoa Ball up top. Coco hanging out in the top jungle area. And Kirby Derby and the US team heading down. Daniel, getting the nice timing on Invis at about 428. Here we're going to see him hang out in mid a little bit. Allow his team to push up and keep the fear instilled in the U.S. team that he's got Invis. They know that Penny's invisible right now, but it's going to be extremely difficult to counteract. Unfortunately, it burns out, and Equal kind of catches them off guard a little bit. Coco is going to blaze away, and Dave W for the cleanup just in case. Dave W cleaning up bottom, and it seems that the U.S. team has a small top push here. Dave W is going to dash through, manage to take out one of the droids, and this small push from the U.S. team will take the top UK turret to about half. U.S. team hanging out in their creep zone right now, healing up and just regrouping. Zydecore realizes he's out of position, nobody's next to him, and he decides to back out. An excellent decision. But balls one of the droids into his own turret for one hit, and the invisibility is picked up at 531 again. Daniel landing the nice pulse on Bad Joe, forcing him back, and Dave W does manage to pick up the splash dash kill on Equal. And it seems that the UK team may be just trying to go for a split push here. Bad Joe working on bottom manages to clean that up real quick. Xylacor and Dave W on the jump pad right now, and it seems that Daniel manages to hit a nice pulse on Bad Joe, forcing him back. Dave working again on bottom. Bad Joe throwing the dynamite, just manages to hit Dave W with, I believe, one of the dynamites. We have both teams hanging out up top, trying to clear those droid waves. Dave W eating a mine on their side. Now it's Yuri's time to shine up top. He should be mining up their side of the jungle right now, just above their jump pad. And it seems that Leon has picked up invisibility, stole it straight from Penny. And Xylacor is caught out right now, but Xylacor lands a nice ball on Bad Joe, tosses him back into the creep zone, and manages to get the teleport out with Dave W there just in case. Dave W eating a mine from Kirby Derby. And Daniel hits a nice pulse on Bad Joe, forcing him back again. Equal clearing the lanes real quick, just as fast as he can before Penny and Coco get back up there. Dave is in their creep zone, and it seems that the U.S. team is now focused around their creep zone and trying to defend more than attack at this point, which is a really good strategy once you consider that Kirby Derby can basically mine up everything and wait for the UK team to walk into the mines, especially when you have the tongue into the mines and you have the bowl into the mines. At this point, it looks like Penny might be picked up, but it manages to escape, and they do manage to get the counter kill on Bad Joe, Froggy, and Coco. Nice plays. Kirby Derby getting punished for being out of position, and that seemed a little bit laggy behind the turret right there, but a kill from Daniel on Kirby. A nice top push by the UK team right now. They're going to get some serious damage, and Dave W managed to pick up the kill on Equal in their creep zone. And this may be top turret taken down unless Bad Joe can get there, and he does get there. Top turret for the US team has about a quarter left. Bottom turret is a little bit pushed right now, but Bad Joe gets down there quick. Froggy picking up mutant worms and some more damage, and Daniel is now picking up silence again on the pulse. And it seems that Kirby Derby is reconnecting again on bottom. Nobody's touched him. He's going to be unscathed for a little bit. And it looks like he should be back right now. Daniel getting a little pounce on Equal, forcing him back out of the zone and up into the blaze from Coco. And Kirby Derby is still reconnecting at this point. Kirby Derby reconnects and goes into their pocket. And Equal again is forced into the blaze up the rift. Top turret for the US team has about 2 bars left. Bottom turret has still got some good portion of health on it. Dave W going down to try and clean up that bottom lane well. Bad Joe, Equal, Xylacor, and Penny battle it up top. Excuse me, Daniel. Bad Joe cleaning up the bottom push. And Daniel just waiting on that jump pad for someone to come up and possibly pounce them back into the mid area. And it seems that Bad Joe is going to get hit by the double knockback ball on Xylacor into the pulse by Coco. An excellent play by the UK team. And now Equal is getting chased back by the entire UK team. Manages to escape. And it seems that Kirby Derby walked right past... Oh, that's because he's invis. Excuse me. I didn't even notice that. Daniel punishing that top turret. And it looks like they're going to take the top turret. Dave W taking on Kirby Derby single-handedly. Manages to get the splash dash into NATO kill. And pick up Kirby Derby. As we see the US team fighting back in top right now, we're going to observe Dave W try and get into that creep zone, but decides to clear the bottom instead. UK Penny and Dave W both hanging out down low, and that bull seemed to go right through Dave W and not affect him at all. Penny with the nice pulse, and here we have Dave W again going in for the kill, but Yuri comes in and gets the nice pickup, allowing the US team to push back and possibly pick up the counter kills. And it looks like they did pick up 2. Coco managed to just escape, but barely. This is going to be a good push for the US team. They need to make something out of this push.
That's almost as good as a team wipe, with Xylacor having such low health and not being able to get out and do much about stopping this push.
He knows that if he goes back right now, a turret damage is going to be astronomical, and he decides to stay in. A smart decision for the time being, and it does seem like Kirby Derby and Equal, and now Bad Joe has joined the top party to try and take down that turret. Daniel missing the pulse barely, Kirby Derby minding his escape route. Bad Joe teleporting out, and Equal gets a nice little nuke tongue, but Dave W manages to get the health. Equal gets knocked back into the red zone, manages to get body blocked a little bit. Xylacor coming down, and an excellent play by Bad Joe to pick up Xylacor, but unfortunately, Froggy still is sacrificed, and Daniel Will picks up Kirby Derby. Bad Joe is on the attack right now, forces Daniel Will back into mid, and he is pulsed, but Daniel Will picks up the kill, and that is going to be a wipe for the US team.
It's not often you see fights like that go all the way down to one last man standing.
No, it was an excellent decision from both teams to stay in and fight, pick up those kills. Unfortunately for the US team, that Penny just stood there and continued to attack and was just relentless with the pulse and the pounce. We're going to see Daniel teleport back now. Both teams back, trying to just get the droids into the neutral zone and have the droid pushes Equal at this point. Equal trying to, he does clear the droid wave. Xylacor and the UK team clear that top push as well. Kirby Derby has bottom mined up, as well as their jump zone right now, and manages to clear those droids very quickly. Bad Joe getting hit by the Coco Ball with the double knockback. Kirby Derby trying to come in for the rescue. And Invis is taken by Dave W. Daniel going in by himself up top, trying to take on the entirety of the U.S. team. A nice ball by Xylator into bottom to hit Equal, down and out.
Dave was not able to find a good spot to use his Invis.
And Bad Joe trying to get the, he does manage to land the bull into the mine for Kirby Derby, and a nice save, and Equal picks up Penny. Zydecore and Dave W up top clearing that wave. That top turret for the UK team looks like it may come down in this droid push right now. Unless Dave W can get there and splash dash through, which he does. Zydecore looking for the US team manages to pick up a nice kill on Zydecore with the nice Yuri mine and an excellent display of map awareness for the US team again, just showing how they know where each other are and they know how much damage a person needs, and they just pick up a nice kill on Zydecore. The US team is now fighting in the creep zone of the UK team, and Daniel manages to pick up the kill on Bad Joe, catches him off guard.
In the pipe, 555.
Kirby Derby on his way out to get health. Daniel will clean up the top droid push for the US team, and Kirby Derby just attacking the bottom droid push as Dave W counteracts that, and Zydecore now on bottom, clearing both of it up. Looks like Equal is going to pick up some tongue damage upgrades, and it does show that he does a lot of damage on that Penny with that tongue. Kirby Derby mining up the pocket, and it looks like Bad Joe is going to pick up some more AA damage. And all members of the US team now on bottom, attacking Dave W. They do manage to pick up the kill on Zydecore. Will Dave W be able to escape, or will Leon be able to pull him back in with the tongue? And he does not, unfortunately. But now you see Dave W, Daniel attacking Equal in mid, Equal escaping, getting those nice assassin pokes in there, playing a very good assassin Leon right now. Dave W clearing that bottom, and it looks like Bad Joe's caught out again and gets dashed into Penny's pulse. Excuse me. Penny's going to be teleporting back now. Kirby Derby trying to save them, unfortunately does not. And it looks like a small push on the bottom UK turret right now. Equal, and they do manage to get the lure. An excellent lure by Kirby Derby into those two mines for Equal. An excellent play by the US team. And Daniel, it looks like he's going to attack Equal and force him back into the creep zone. Kirby Derby again, hanging out in the creep zone. Let's see where he starts to mine up now.
So Kirby Derby has some really excellent play with the mines in this match.
That was a very excellent play. You can see right there the just sheer amount of burst that Penny has on any character is absolutely ridiculous. But that was an excellent play by the US team before in the bottom jungle. Just Kirby Derby lured Dave back into it and got the nice tongue from Equal into the two mines for the kill. Kirby Derby eating a Cocoa Ball on his way out. And it looks like he's going to try and stay in right now, stop this bottom push, or mine up the bottom just in case. And Zydecore again hitting the Cocoa Balls left and right all day. Kirby Derby again here. The Cocoa Ball from bottom mid misses. And now we see something interesting. Equal is going for a regen build on Leon.
So what do you think the rationale is there? It feels a little bit sustained.
I do believe that's it, but a nice little engage going on in the pocket. Zydecore may be getting caught out and eats a mine, but Penny is attacking relentlessly. Dave W picking up the kill on Equal, trying to escape, but continue poking. Bad Joe is going to teleport back. This should be a good push for a split push for the UK team right now. And some good damage on Bad Joe from the members of the UK team. Top turret is being punished right now. Bad Joe is trying all that he can to remove the presence of the UK team from the top turret.
So UK deciding to push on the harder to get to back top turret there rather than working on the closer turret on bottom.
They could have had a split push at that time, but they decided to push in, and it looks like Daniel W. is going to sneak up with the invis, but manages to get killed by Kirby Derby, who comes in for the quick mine kill. Kirby Derby is mining up that bottom jungle right now in preparation for another battle, but pushes them back. As you can see here, Kirby Derby jumping up the jump pad, getting ready to mine it up. Bad Joe taking a lot of damage from that splash dash. And it looks like the bottom turret for the UK team is going to be taken down with that nice push from the US.
Equal attempting to tongue into the mine there and just barely missing it.
Barely missing it. He manages to get out, and he starts to go for the pills for Leon now. Dave W. clearing the mine in their pocket, and a nice little engagement going on right now, anticipating the Penny attack. Dave W. hanging out up top, and it looks like Daniel maybe getting out with invis, but burns it, getting some charges on the creeps and healing up.
If you didn't know better, you'd think they were able to actually see Daniel invis there.
Yes, no, that was very good map awareness on the U.S. team's part, and they're going to continue to chase down Daniel while Dave and Zydecore on bottom kind of hang out and clear that droid bottom wave.
Kirby with a nice
Kirby
mine.
Derby dropping a nice little mine on Zydecore and forcing him out. Penny jumping in, just missing the pulse barely, and Kirby Derby again clearing that top lane. Kirby Derby's down, and it looks like Dave W is going to clear top, and Equal getting some nice poke damage. Kirby Derby trying to come to the rescue. Not sure what he was trying to do up there, but he did manage to get their creeps and get the creep health. Invis is up. It looks like Equal is going to grab Invis. And Kirby Derby taking a lot of damage right now. That was a lot of damage for him to take, and it looks like they're going to be chasing them down, and Daniel just misses. Bad Joe manages to escape that, and now we have the counterattack from the UK team in effort to get some good pushes on that bottom turret. You see Zydecore now getting in preparation for that bottom push and clearing that as quick as possible, and Equal taking a pulse from Penny, bringing him down to about half, picks up the health behind the blue zone, and just manages to barely avoid a Cocoa Ball. Bad Joe about a half health right now, and Daniel taking some damage from the turret. Not sure what he was trying to do there, but he does manage to pick up the top health, and it seems that bottom turret for the U.S. team may be taking a good portion of damage, but Zydecore takes a nice mine to the face and has to get out after that. Dave W is going to pick up Invis. Penny and Dave in the blue creep zone.
Daniel trying to draw someone out for Froggy to surprise.
And it looks like they may get it now, but he has to go through a minefield, and he decided he would rather not. Even now, he's testing the waters in a 3v1. And it looks like Penny's going to go in for the engage. Equal's going to get out. Kirby Derby with the time bubble for the save. And Banjo gets the nice bull on Penny. But Penny is just so agile and manages to escape and lands the pounce on Kirby Derby to allow Zydecore to escape. Equal just clearing the top with Kirby Derby now. Bad Joe working on bottom. Being chased back by Daniel. All three members of the U.S. team hanging out in their creep zone right now. Dave W and Kirby Derby duking it out. And Equal sees the opportunity to pick up Penny, but Penny realizes it and gets out of there as fast as possible. Equal eating a Cocoa Ball and being pushed back into the creep zone now. As we see Dave W clearing bottom and Kirby Derby dropping down into bottom with Equal and Bad Joe to clear that. Zydecore eating another mine, but a nice engagement up top. Bad Joe's got about 2 bars of health. Penny's going to hunt him down for the chase, but manages to get herself stuck in between all members of the U.S. team and escapes. Here we go again with this Penny, and Zydecore picks up the kill, but runs into a Yuri mine, and Yuri picks up a double kill. Excellent mine placement by Kirby Derby. An excellent exchange. Awesome mine placement. Kirby Derby is just dropping these mines on everybody all day. And as you can see here, Equal's just trying to tongue him into it, get that silence off so he can't really go anywhere. Kirby Derby mining everywhere up now, picking up Red's creeps. And it looks like bottom may have a tiny push for the U.S. team. And it seems now that Equal has now picked up his second stage of regen and invisibility. Interesting choice from Bad Joe, who decided to get a late game piggy bank and go into slow bowl. Penny just narrowly escaping from Kirby Derby.
So what do you think made Bad Joe Dave W hit here on the bottom, surrounded on all sides, quickly cleaned up, but what do you think made Bad Joe decide to do that late game piggy bank?
I think that maybe after a small team discussion they said that he should basically go into slow bowl, which allowed them to pick up that kill on Froggy, because Penny and Froggy, as well as Coco in there, you have so much mobility. As you can see, Kirby Derby eating a mine, but I think slow bowl was an excellent decision. Unfortunately, Bad Joe is being punished right now for being out of position. Equal trying to get the save in, but Equal narrowly avoids that penny pulse. Yeah, Bad Joe and Zydecore up top. Bad Joe eating a Cocoa Bowl, being knocked back into his creep zone. Equal invisible, waiting for Zydecore to come up, get some nice poke damage, playing the excellent assassin Leon. And now we just have some lane clearage and some farming going on. Equal may or may not drop down there. He sees Zydecore, goes in for it, does manage to get some nice poke damage. Kirby Derby mining up their pocket, and Bad Joe attacking up top, trying to fight back against that three-man push up top. Dave W realizing a 3v1 situation isn't what he wants to be in. Kirby Derby running in with the time bubble with health, eats a Cocoa Ball. Nice save from Zydecore into the U.S. team's Kirby Derby. We're going to see Bad Joe and Equal both invisible at the time. Now, if they can get a nice flank, which they do manage to do, here's Bad Joe trying to come in for the kill pickup. Unfortunately, doesn't get it. Zydecore, he may be in some serious trouble, but manages to escape. Dave W picking up health. But, unfortunately, Bad Joe picks up Zydecore, and in exchange, Dave W picks up Bad Joe. Now we see Kirby Derby. He may be in a little bit of trouble right now. Equal in there. He gets the nice tongue off. Manages to force Daniel back into his own zone. Daniel may be teleporting back right now to get some health, and he is going to be back. Dave W in. Equal teleporting back. Kirby Derby picking up health. And it seems that the bottom and top droid lanes are equal at the time. As we have Kirby Derby and Equal into the UK's droid zone. Invis just popped up, so Kirby Derby is going to pick it up, and they may be able to pick up a nice kill on Penny now. If Equal can get the tongue in, he can get that nuke tongue, and they do manage to pick it up. Kirby Derby with a nice mine placement again, and Zydecore picks up Bad Joe. It's a very even match right now as the kill count goes for the UK 20 and US 18. Kirby Derby being attacked by the Hammer Pants Froggy takes him to about half health, but he does get out.
So what do you expect to see from these teams going forward? Like with the current position and being so even, do you think they're going to try to change up their strategies?
I think it's just going to be a basic farming game at this point, up until they continue to trade kills until one team gets wiped. At that point, it may be GG this late in the game with the respawn time, but I think it's going to be a basic farming game up until that point. Kirby Derby running in, playing the main engager at this point. Froggy managing to get a nice kill on him. Bad Joe kind of hiding out in their pocket. Equal in mid right now, along with Bad Joe. Bad Joe and Equal cleaning up the bottom droid push. And Dave W knows that they're both trapped up there in that zone, but he does not care. He's going to go into that creep zone, and Daniel does manage to pick up the pounce kill on Bad Joe, I believe. And this may be bottom turret down for the U.S. team. No, it isn't. Equal in their pocket, and Penny up top. Zydecore is going to get some good damage in on this bottom turret right now and allow it is bottom turret down for the U.S. team. The turret count is 2-2. It seems just about even from what I'm looking at. Equal stuck on bottom right now, but does manage to get the invis off and escape. And it looks like Zydecore is going to take invis after using his cooldowns, wait for him to come back up and just attack relentlessly. Zydecore hanging out on that jump pad, just waiting for a member of the U.S. team to come out and play. And it seems like Equal is that member of the team as Zydecore is kind of hanging out in that zone. He doesn't want to get pinched right now, so he's going to have to get out. But a nice pulse damage and a nice tongue into the Yuri mine and bubble from Equal. Looks like Equal's going to get attacked and picked up by Zydecore after the stun from the splash dash. And it looks like Kirby Derby is going to try and attack Dave W with his mines, and they do manage to get a nice bull off from Bad Joe, but it doesn't do much, unfortunately.
Zydecore has to go back after finding Yuri's mines in the pocket there.
Oh, of course. And it looks like Zydecore is going to pick up some attack speed, and I believe Dave is going to pick up some attack speed as well.
So we've got everyone on the field with full health right now. Expect to see a pretty major team fight soon.
Absolutely true. Let's see, we have the U.S. team hanging out in mid right now, trying to flank. And it looks like a good team fight about to engage. Dave W getting the nice kill on Bad Joe. Dave W continuing to harass, and it looks like Daniel's going to continue to chase and chase Equal into the creep zone, but Equal manages to get out as well as Kirby Derby.
Showtime! Synergy!
Kirby Derby and Equal have to play some extreme defense right now. Zydecore hits the nice mine. Yuri trying to get in there as quick as possible, but I don't think he realized just how much damage was being dealt. And both members of Team USA are back to get some health.
Time to kick butt and shoot the match.
As we see Equal and Kirby Derby attacking that top lane and preventing the droid push. Looks like Dave W is in Viz right now, waiting to attack. And we have both teams hanging out in that creep area. Bad Joe cleaning up bottom. Kirby and Equal missing the tongue. Daniel and Zydecore going straight for the turret, realizing where the U.S. team is. Dave W getting the nice pickup. He gets the double kill with the hammer pants, and Bad Joe knocks back Daniel with the bull, but it seems like he made an error and jumped on the jump pad. That is a good game. That is a wipe for Team USA, and that looks like it is the end of the tournament.
Very good game sense there from the UK team to press into that turret, because if it had taken any longer to go down than it did, then it could have been a wipe the other way.
Absolutely. It was an excellent decision for the UK team to push forward and attack that turret the way they did. I think that they made a few errors in the beginning, which allowed Team USA to come back and take those two turrets and get a decent amount of damage on the bottom turret. But all in all, the UK team did manage to push when they needed to, and they picked up the win for that game. As far as post-game analysis goes, it was very good. It was a very good match to commentate.
A lot of back and forth, yeah. It
was very fun to watch. I remember at one point there was a bottom jungle fight going on in which both teams basically stayed in to the last man standing, and the UK Penny managed to emerge victorious. But it was an excellent match to watch, an excellent back and forth game, and I had so much fun commentating these matches. But I mean, is there anything else that you would like to add, Kalazor?
Well, the first thing I want to add is thank you, Oz, so much for appearing with me on the stream. I think you did an excellent job casting, and it was really nice being able to work with you on this. One of the things I really enjoyed about this match was Kirby's Yuri play. I've been feeling a little bit down on Yuri lately, but I saw a lot of good things, really good mine placements, and this just shows that even static things like mines, you feel like you should be able to avoid them if you pay attention. But even top-level players are going to walk around and hit mines all the time.
Of course, and there was that one situation that I pointed out where Kirby successfully placed the 2 mines in the bottom pocket and lured Daniel and Dave W into those mines when Equal got the nice tongue into them on bottom mid. So that was an excellent lure into it, and both teams played amazingly, but it was amazing to see Kirby Derby and the way he played Yuri. He played an aggressive Yuri. At first, obviously, Yuri really isn't that strong, but once he gets his abilities, his mid-game is extremely powerful, and Kirby Derby showed that.
Yeah, and so for anyone just tuning in or who hasn't been here from the beginning, this was the 4th match of a best-of-5 series where US won the first game, and this was the 3rd win from the UK, clinching the series and winning the Solar Wars Cup for the UK. US 2nd place and EU 3rd.
But it was excellent to play with everybody, and it was excellent to see such top-notch players and the way that they played and the way that they interacted with each other. And I really have to say, to all the players who played in these matches, you guys are awesome. And I hope that I get to play with you guys in the future. Besides that, I hope you guys enjoyed my commentary. My name is Oz.
And I'm Kalazor.
And this is Kalazor. And besides that, I think we're done. Is there anything else that we got to get out of there?
Just one more shout out to the tournament I've been calling by the wrong name this whole time, the Awesome Nods Charity Championship charity. It's the ACC, and Alexis is running it, and I'd really appreciate it if you guys went and signed up and donated some dollars to charity. All right, thank you everybody who played, especially, and everybody who's watching. I think I'm going to cut the stream off now, and hope the tournament scene continues on strong.
Take care. Have a good day, guys.
Bye, everybody.